Puerto Rico is rebuilding a more resilient grid, one solar microgrid at a time. So, how are these hyperlocal systems empowering communities battered by disasters towards energy independence? Welcome back. In past episodes, we've explored how islands like St. Lucia and St. Kitts and Nevis are taking control of their energy futures by tapping into indigenous clean power. Well, today, we head to the mountains of Puerto Rico, where rural communities battered by disasters are lighting the way towards a more resilient grid through solar energy independence. First, a quick backdrop. The beautiful Isla del Encanto has endured no shortage of hardships, from financial instability to the devastating 2017 Hurricane Maria, which damaged 80% of their power infrastructure. Fast forward to today, and Puerto Ricans still face regular grid outages, plus electricity bills eating up over 8% of household incomes, all while only sourcing around 2% of power from breezy or sunny resources clearly abundant across the territory. But necessity breeds invention, and in remote storm-prone towns like Adjuntas, locally run solar microgrids are proving a lifeline, providing continuous clean power even when major grid infrastructure fails neighbors during disasters. So, how do these decentralized renewable systems work exactly? And can microgrid models chart a path to a much wider energy reliability and affordability across storm-battered regions? Let's plug in. Microgrid basics. Taking power to the people while still in the early days, the premise of solar microgrids provides a compelling decentralization alternative versus relying on centralized grids prone to mass outages. Specifically, microgrids function as independent local systems where solar panels feed power demand from a cluster of nearby homes and buildings. That solar juice gets stored in large backup batteries, even if the traditional regional utility grid goes offline. This means life-saving continuity of electricity access in remote health clinics, food stores, community shelters, and more that microgrid recipients operate. No downed power poles or failed transformers can cut them off. Independence providing security. Critically, the push for microgrids isn't confined to isolated rural zones. Even hospitals in capital San Juan have integrated solar arrays and battery backups after Hurricane Maria exposed the danger of full grid failure for vital services. Though small in scale now, interest across Puerto Rico appears high with the model proving out. So what's driving adoption? And what hurdles remain in scaling the approach more widely? Pivotal partners powering momentum clearly microgrids require significant coordination and funding, well beyond typical household solar. The good news? Puerto Rico is attracting support from unexpected partners lending momentum. Specifically, the U.S. Department of Energy has earmarked $1 billion explicitly for resilience initiatives, benefiting disadvantaged communities, with solar microgrids named a priority application. These funds can offset upfront project soft and hard costs, from community engagement to installing actual panels plus batteries, helping transform aspirations into action. And the private sector sees the promise too. Honold Foundation provided pivotal early financing for Adjuntas' 14-business downtown microgrid cluster, now nearing completion after years of prep. While nonprofits like Casa Pueblo and Mountain Hydroelectric Cooperative anchor on-the-ground outreach and interconnection logistics for recipients, helping navigate policy complexities so that projects materialize faster. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach, delivering the ingredient mix essential for microgrids to supplement Puerto Rico's fragile, centralized grid at scale, while empowering local communities. Overcoming remaining obstacles. Of course, as with any new energy innovation, uncertainties still to confront abound around solar microgrids. Cybersecurity looms large, as increased connectivity magnifies vulnerability to hackers that could jeopardize supply. Careful controls and protocols must safeguard these hyper-localized grids. Batteries also introduce environmental and safety considerations around chemical components, disposal, and risk of fires, though manufacturers continue enhancing stability as costs fall. And despite plunging solar panel prices, Project capital requirements stay substantial for most towns or neighborhoods to self-finance outright. Ongoing government incentives and private backers seem requisite to supplement gaps near term. Still, with such partners at the table willing to nurture pilots and policy, Puerto Rico finds itself outpacing stateside movements on microgrids, building enviable momentum. The payoff: why microgrids? Why now? Clearly, microgrids shine for continuity of critical services when catastrophic disasters strike, yet the value spans beyond emergency resilience. From spurring renewable growth to keeping local energy dollars circulating, let's tally additional upsides. Financial savings. By generating power locally from free sun and wind, communities avoid importing expensive coal or petroleum-fired electricity, saving significantly. Adjuntas estimates a 50% drop in energy costs the coming years. Energy independence. Microgrids loosen reliance on a decrepit and insecure centralized grid while tapping into on-site renewable bounty, boosting autonomy and security. Grid stability reinforcement. Scaling distributed solar microgrids actually supports stabilization of the wider network by alleviating pressure on aging long-distance transmission infrastructure. Cleaner energy. Microgrids proven at small scale can model adoption of larger utility renewables to help Puerto Rico meet aggressive emissions reductions commitments faster. The resilient road ahead. In only 5 years since Hurricane Maria spotlighted Puerto Rico's grid vulnerability, solar microgrids have risen from novelty to norms across communities focused on climate readiness. The model clearly delivers, fusing energy access, savings, sustainability, and local empowerment. And this marks only the start of a much broader transformation afoot, with federal funding fueling rapid duplication of resilient solar clusters, while utilities pilot hybrid, distributed, and centralized grids integrating the best of both, running in parallel, strengthening collectively. And no doubt, challenges persist to refine and scale innovations that sow such distributed renewable systems into the fabric of life and community. But Puerto Rico continues lighting the way forward. Their next-generation blueprint promises to propel practical climate adaptation beyond the treasured isla towards vulnerable communities everywhere, seeking energy solutions that endure. Well, that's it for today. Puerto Rico sets an inspiring model for climate-vulnerable regions globally, proving the power of solar microgrids to deliver continuity along with savings and sustainability. Join us next time as we see the quest for net zero emissions in global aviation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.